the number one reason that most young men are struggling today is because they're trying to do it alone. This is a quote that I heard from Kevin Samuels, and ever since I heard it, I'll never forget it, right? Because I sincerely and wholeheartedly agree with it. Not having your wolf pack, which is what he said, you need to have your wolf pack, is going to kill you, right? And I just want to summarize what he said that, I think it really resonated with me. And he said that, like, you need to have your wolf pack of like-minded men. And ideally, if you start working, you want to have a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a salesperson, in your group. Like, you want to have an abundance of skills in your group, so it can insulate you against, like, you have a legal problem, you call your friend. You have like a medical issue, whatever, you can go call your doctor friend or whatever. And you want to build, that's the core. That's a core group. You want to have a core group, and then you want to have connections in general, right? Another one thing he said is that if you're young, you want to live in, like, and he was obviously American, so he was saying that, like, you want to live in an NFL city, right? You want to live in a city that's got an NFL team. Basically, you want to live in a massive city. You want to live in the big cities because you get a lot of exposure to all these different things, all different lives, all different people, right? And you sort of get to figure out, like, your crowd or whatever it is, and you're able to find more people, more opportunities to do everything. Basically, that's what he said. You want to live in a big city early on, so you can just get a lot of exposure, right? So yeah, he was saying, like, you need to get your wolf pack, and you need to make sure you guys are like-minded. You're on your grind, right? And he also said, like, get a house. Like, if you can manage to rent a house where you can all live together or whatever it is, and you split the cost or whatever, that's incredible, right? And he also said, yeah, you want to be working 60-hour work weeks. Like, as a young man, there's like minimum 60-hour work weeks. Like, you're that young, if you want to be like high value, like, there's no reason you shouldn't be working that less than 60 hours, especially, like, you're young, bro. You should be able to do that. And if you want to figure out how you're going to be able to do that, you can watch my previous video on how to make 2024 the best year of your life. I spoke about psycho-cybernetics and how you can change your self-image to turn yourself into someone who actually works hard at, like, a purpose, right? But yeah, you're saying you need to do that, and you're saying your house should be a place where you literally go to eat, to poop, to sleep, and to have sex if you're doing that. Yeah, basically your house, you're just going there to do that, but you should be on your grind, on your hustle, right? So going back to why you need building a good social life. Another thing that I've learned a lot is about, if you're working in corporate and just in life in general, is having connections is everything, right? I still remember the scene. I think it's probably the first episode of Suits, right? And Harvey Specter is telling his protege, right? He's a new associate, Mike Ross. He pointed out this associate who was working. He was at the printer, and he was just one of those associates who just came in and was like, I'm going to work my butt off. I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm just going to do good work. And Harvey Specter was like, that guy is never going to make partner. He's never going to make partner because he doesn't understand that doing good work isn't the whole job, right? Socialization is half of the job. Having connections, people you can trust. Well, also more importantly, you want to have, like, good connections. If you can have upward mobility, like, if you can find yourself, like, your own, like, using Suits terms, right, Mike Ross, if you can find yourself your own, like, Harvey Specter, someone who's like they're like your mentor, right? If you can find yourself lots of different, like, connections like that with people up there, incredible. Like, that's how you make it, like, far in, like, corporate and in life in general, right? And to go back to what Kevin Samuels was saying, is he was saying that almost everyone that's high value has had someone pull them up, right? So you need to have connections. So now that you know why you need to have a good social life, apart from the number one fact that most people want to have a good social life, like me and you, is that you just want to have things to do, right? You want to, like, look forward to life. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be sitting at home, watching all these, like, TV shows or scrolling on YouTube, right? Like, I'd much rather be out, like, playing football with my friends, right? Or just talking with friends, watching a game with my friends, whatever. Like, I want to have, like, that group and, like, speak about stuff, and just, it's much more enjoyable, right? Like, I think Andrew Tate also said, he was like, and I wholeheartedly agreed with this. I thought about this long before I heard him say it. And he was saying that, like, you could have nothing in the world, like, absolutely nothing. You could be dirt poor, but as long as you've got your boys, life is exciting. So now that I've hopefully convinced you on why you need to have a good social life, and you can cut all the crap about being, I'm an introvert, like, stop telling yourself that you're not an introvert. You probably just haven't met, like, the right people, one, and two, like, you haven't tried things like psycho-cybernetics. You're programming yourself to believe you're not good at social situations, which goes completely against what humans are. We are social creatures, and if you're not social, you will never ever be truly successful in life. And even, like, the people you might see be like, this person's an introvert, and it's like, bro, they are still somewhat social. They're not, like, sitting at home not talking to anyone, right? So now that I've hopefully convinced you on why you need to have a good social life, let's speak about how you're going to do it, right? So there's the first aspect of just learning how to be social. I made a video on that, how to be charismatic. I released it, I think it was last week. Um, yeah, I spoke about all. Go read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Basically, just go read that. But basically, the number one thing I was telling you is that you need to go out and practice. And when you're talking to people, just ask them good questions. Like, enter their spirit, to use Robert Greene's words. Enter their spirit, listen to what they're saying, and get an idea of like what they like. Analyze their micro expressions. Look at them and be like, oh, when they speak about this, they get this tingle in their eye, like they like this, and then you speak more and more about that, right? So you ask them questions, you really listen to them. You're not worried about yourself. You're not worried about how do I look. Oh, is my shirt tucked in properly? What do people think of me? You're completely like disengaged from yourself, completely engaged with them, what they're saying, how they're feeling, and just things like that. Just being able to listen to someone wholeheartedly like that will make people like you a lot more. And more important, and well, not more importantly, but another way that helps is that when you listen, you get an idea of what they like, and you get to speak on those topics, and they just keep speaking more and more. And what you'll notice about people is that people love speaking about themselves. And if you can manage to dim that quality in yourself and be like, no, I don't want to speak about myself. I'm going to let other people speak about themselves, and I'm just going to care about them. That's socialization in general. If you don't know how to approach social situations, it's as simple as, the number one thing for social interactions is that you need to be like in a social environment. I'm starting work very soon, but I've gone to like the office and met people, right? It's a social environment because it's all of us. We're all in like the same boat. Like picture like when you come into school, like when you first joined school or you joined a high school, like with all these new people. It's like everyone is thinking the same thing you're thinking, right? They just want to make some friends. They're feeling a bit awkward or whatever it is. So that's an easy environment, right? You just need to learn how to introduce yourself, right? It's as simple as you find something to say, right? If you can find something like just something simple to say, like it makes it less abrasive. Obviously eventually you just want to get to a point where you're like, my name is Gideon, it's nice to meet you, what's your name? So, something like that. You want to get to that point, but if you want to make it like less abrupt, just sort of give like a segue kind of thing, like just break the ice a little bit, right? Like the first thing you say to them is like, I don't know, it depends on the scenario you're in, right? But you basically, like someone says something, like especially if you're like in a place like where, like I said, there's just a bunch of new people coming into like a place, and there's like a person of authority speaking to you, and you've all had like a shared experience. Like I said, you're joining a new school, right? You're joining a new high school, and it's all the guys and whatever it is, and the new people are speaking to you, right? Maybe they might say something. You could ask a question, really, if you want. Like you can just ask someone a question and then you introduce yourself, or you could just make a little joke. It's really not that difficult. And what you'll realize is if you're in those situations, right? People are very open. Like they will laugh not because something is funny, but simply because this person is speaking to me. Like everyone wants that. Like when you're there in a new place where no one knows each other, right? You'd love for someone to come up and like make conversation with you. That makes things so much easier. But the thing is, you need to be, more times than not, you need to be that person, right? So when you are that person that goes out there and you're introducing yourself, or you're breaking the ice, you're not afraid to say something, right? You just say a little joke around the scenario. You're gonna need to figure that one out yourself. I can't really help you in that department, but like just say something. Honestly, just think to say something. Something that you're having a shared experience, so it shouldn't be too difficult. You say something and then you introduce yourself. If you really can't think of something, you can just be like, just introduce yourself. Like I'm telling you something I did yesterday when I went to the office, right? We were going to like collect our laptops, right? I went to the reception, it was chill, and then I could see the place where people were sitting. It was like a couple of people, like 5-6 people. Normally that's intimidating for a lot of people, and you don't need to do this. But again, I've progressed my socialization to a point where I can do that, right? I literally just walked up to there and I was like, are you guys all waiting? Are you guys all here for laptop collection, right? And then they were like, yeah. And then I went around to every person. I just put my hand out. I was like, I'm Gideon, nice to meet you. What's your name? I did that to every single person. Simple as that. Again, you don't need to do that with everyone, but you can do it with one person. Like whatever, it's not that difficult, right? Just work up the courage to do that. And again, you can progressively over that. I spoke about this in the How to Socialize video. Your Uber driver, like you're driving with your Uber driver, just ask them questions. Be like, how's the day going? How's the job going? How did you get into this job? Do you have any other job you're doing? Just ask basic questions like that. It's really not that difficult. Like the formula for meeting people is, ideally you want to say something just so you want to be in a good, like I said, a good social environment where people are open, right? You don't want to be in like a gym, although again you can find a way to do it in the gym, like if you can read like social cues properly, but you don't want to do it in a place where someone clearly doesn't want to be talked to. You want to do it in like an open environment where people are open to socially speaking, to being social, right? Say something to break the ice, introduce yourself, and get the person's name. Once you get the person's name, like if you're really socially awkward, you can leave it at that, right? Then the next time you see them, right, you're able to call their name and they know your name, right? And it's like, oh, hi, whatever. And then you speak more or whatever it is. And over a long period of time, you got yourself a friend. If you do that with a bunch of people, just knowing people's names and people knowing your name, instantly the confidence that gives you is that the ice is broken. It's not like it's not an intimidating social situation anymore for you, right? So that's basically like the social the formula. If you want to make it a formula, social environment, break the ice, introduce yourself, get the person's name. It's a 4-step thing, right? That's in social environments. Now, how you can actually build a social life. Now, this is gonna take some skill. Not skill. It's gonna take some time, but it's gonna take proactiveness. The number one thing you need to do is you got to be out there, right? And this goes like for people who are like trying to find girlfriends, right? Like you're not gonna find a girlfriend just sitting at home, like, oh, I'm scrolling on dating apps. It's like, come on, bro. You need to be out. The people who find, I think the number before online and like dating apps, the number one way people met like their spouses was through mutual friends, right? You meet people through people, right? You meet those people by going out. Now, obviously, we're lucky enough if you're lucky enough to be in a situation like for me at work. Like when I go to work, there's going to be so many people to like socialize with. If you're at school, so many people to socialize with. But what you realize is once you go out of school, you don't have that natural. It's not so easy to have a natural environment where you just make friends. Like you need to be proactive. You need to go and make friends. Otherwise, you're just going to be lonely, and that's what happens to most men in general. But yeah. You need to go out, is what I'm saying. You need to be out. You need to be in the places that people like you are going to be, right? So I'm thinking for me, church. Like when you start going to church and go to youth, where the young people are, obviously, right? Go to gym, right? And again, you go to gym to gym. It's not like the most social place, but you know, we're guys. Like we're pretty open. Like as long as you're not going there to like talk to girls or whatever. And again, you could try that if you're good enough with social cues. You don't want to mess it up, but that's not a big deal. But mainly like making friends. If you're at the gym, it's like, oh, how many sets left here? And then you know they tell you, and then afterwards when they're done, you go and then you're like, okay. I mean, maybe you see them again. You're like, sorry, I never got your name before, and then you get their name. Instantly, you've got like a friend. And then when you're not like getting their number then, but like you know you come back and then you speak again. You're like, oh, what's up or whatever. Because like all of a sudden that thing I told you about, like the person knowing your name and you knowing theirs, it breaks the ice, because the next time they see you, they know you know each other, and you can just say hi, right? And you can ask, oh, how long have you been gymming, yada yada yada. Again, like I said, asking questions is a nice way to get people to speak about themselves and get people to like you. And all of a sudden, you've got a guy who's like a really good friend, and then you know you exchange numbers, and once you do that, you've got a friend instantly, just like that at the gym. But like, yeah, you go to places where people like you are gonna be. Like I said, church, youth, gym, and then you want to like expand your horizons a bit. Like for me, I want to start cycling. I'm not going to do it now. I don't have like a proper bike yet, but when I do get one, I want to join like a cycling club. You need to go out and do those things. It seems difficult to do, but like if you want to build like a proper social life, you need to be out there, right? You need to find places. You need to go to places where people are going to make friends, right? You make friends where you can, right? And you do that, and that's how you expand your social life. And it's a skill. Building the social skill, it's a skill. And then building a good social life, it takes time. But you need to be putting yourself out there. You need to be going and searching like for events where people like you are going to be, right? Whatever it is, find events to go to, but you need to make it a point to go out and meet people. Then once you meet people, eventually you keep fostering those friendships, keep reaching out to like go out and whatever it is. If there's one thing I've noticed about guys, like for me, like I think I'm probably the same, honestly. Like having conversations on the phone isn't something like a lot of guys like to do, right? So sometimes it can just be as simple as like, oh, you want to I don't know, you want to go hit a gym session together, or I don't know, you want to go out for like breakfast or whatever, you want to go play like sports or whatever it is. Like meeting in person, actually speaking, there's a lot more rapport there than like trying to speak over the phone. I've noticed a lot of guys just don't like speaking all over the phone, like having like long conversations on the phone and stuff. So that's like a little thing you can do, like just having. But I don't know about you. For me, like this year, I've started working. Like I'm in my own apartment. Um, I'm like building my own new life. I want to have like a packed schedule, and that's another thing Kevin Samuels was saying. Saying that like your schedule needs to be packed. You need to have social events after social events. Like you're working during the week, whatever it is. Saturday, Sunday, you should have things to do. People to go see, like events. Like you need to have that. Like you're at the stage now where you need to be networking. You really need to be networking, even if it's not just for like like I said earlier on. It's not just oh, I've got good friends and whatever, and I've got a nice social life. Which again, that makes your life so great. Like it increases your quality of life. It has been shown to be like the number one thing to increase the longevity of your life, like instantly, right? Just having like a good social life. But even just apart from that, networking will be so good for your career. If you're trying to start a business, it'll be so good for your business. That's just good in general. So you want to make it a point to, that should be the goal, right? To have social events all the time. And you make it a point to be like, nah, I don't want to do this because I want to rest, I'm tired. But don't let it be because you don't have options. You need to be invited to stuff. You need to be going to stuff. That's the standard you should be setting for yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for what I said about like building a social life. It's you got to build a social skill, and then you got to be out there and speaking to people, making friends where you can, and get invited to events, do stuff. If you do want to meet like-minded people online, I do have a Discord where you can meet like-minded people. Make sure you subscribe to join the Self Improvement Brotherhood. And until next time, see you boys.